Westerns that framed the genre. From early John Ford films of the 1920s to the 50s classic era of the Wild West in cinema, to the spaghetti westerns of the 60s. Honestly, an impossible task to limit this list to 10, but it was an interesting challenge to take on. Given the thousands of westerns available, I found this selection to be very influential on the genre. I'd love to hear from you and what your list would be. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel as well. I appreciate it. Let's get into it in chronological order. The Iron Horse, 1924, directed by John Ford, starring George O'Brien, Madge Bellamy, about the construction of the American First Transcontinental Railroad, depicting Irish, Italian and Chinese immigrants, as well as African Americans, as the men who did the backbreaking work that made this feat possible. The primary villain is an unscrupulous businessman who masquerades as a renegade Cheyenne. It culminates with the scene of driving of the Golden Spike at Promontory Summit on May 10, 1869. The Iron Horse was the opening night film for the 15th San Francisco Silent Film Festival in 2010. Although there is a full screen title stating a John Ford production, there is no actual director credit on the film. My Darling Clementine, 1946, directed by John Ford, starring Henry Fonda, Victor Mature, Linda Darnell, Walter Brennan. Wyatt Earp and his brothers, Morgan and Virgil, ride into Tombstone, leaving brother James in charge of their cattle. They return to find their cattle gone and James dead. Wyatt takes the job of town marshal, making his brothers deputies, and promises to stay in Tombstone until James's killers are found. He meets the brooding, coughing, hard-drinking Doc Holliday, as well as the vicious Clanton gang. Wyatt finds the owner of a trinket taken from James's body, setting the stage for the Earps' revenge. Walter Brennan disliked John Ford so much that he never worked with him again. One time when Brennan was having a little trouble getting into the saddle, Ford yelled, "Can't you even mount a horse?" Brennan shot back, "No, but I got 3 Oscars for acting."
When you pull a gun, kill a man. Yes, Paul.
Red River, 1948, directed by Howard Hawks, starring John Wayne, Montgomery Clift, Walter Brennan, Joanne Drew. 14 years after starting his cattle ranch in Texas, Tom Dunston is finally ready to drive his 10,000 head of cattle to market. Back then, Dunston, his sidekick, Nadine Groot, and a teenage boy, Matt Garth, the only survivor of an Indian attack on a wagon train, started off with only 2 head of cattle. The nearest market is in Missouri, a 1,000-mile drive. Dunston, a hard taskmaster, demands a lot from the men signed up for the drive. Garth is a grown man now, who fought in the Civil War. He has his own mind and soon runs up against the stubborn Dunston, who won't listen to anyone. Eventually, the men on the drive take sides, and Matt ends up in charge, with Dunston vowing to kill him.
You better marry that girl, Matt.
Yeah, I think I... When are you going to stop telling people what to do?
Right now. At least.
High Noon, 1952, directed by Fred Zinnemann, starring Gary Cooper, Thomas Mitchell, Lloyd Bridges, Katie Jurado, Grace Kelly, Otto Kruger, Lon Chaney, Henry Morgan. The day he gets married and hangs up his badge, Marshal Will Kane is told that a man he sent to prison years before, Frank Miller, is returning on the noon train to deliver his revenge. Initially deciding to leave with his new wife, Will decides he must return and face Miller. When he seeks the help of the townspeople he has protected for so long, they disappoint him. Kane may have to face Miller as well as the rest of Miller's gang alone, waiting for him at the station. There was a question regarding the casting of Cooper as he was 50, and Grace Kelly, playing his wife, was only 21. Despite being fairly commonplace for the period the film was set, Caine was only supposed to be about 30. Shane, 1953, directed by George Stevens, starring Alan Ladd, Jean Arthur, Van Heflin, Brandon de Wilde, Jack Palance. Shane finds himself in conflict between cattleman Riker and settlers, like Joe Starrett and his family, whose land Riker wants. When Shane beats Riker's man Chris, Riker tries to buy him. Then Shane and Joe take on Riker's crew. Riker sends to Cheyenne for the evil gunslinger Wilson. Shane must clear out all the gunmen from the valley. George Stevens originally cast Montgomery Clift as Shane and William Holden as Joe Starrett. After both decided to do other projects, Shane was almost dropped before Stevens asked studio head why Frank Freeman, who was available. Seeing a list of actors under contract to the studio, Stevens cast Ladd, Heflin and Jean Arthur within 3 minutes. Rio Bravo, 1959, directed by Howard Hawks, starring John Wayne, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, Angie Dickinson, Walter Brennan, Ward Bond, John Russell, Pedro Gonzalez, Estelita Rodriguez. Sheriff John T. Chance arrests Joe Burdett for murder. He knows that Burdett's brother, Nathan, a powerful rancher, will do anything to free him from jail. Chance's friend, Pat Wheeler, offers to help, but within minutes of making the offer is shot in the back in the street, leaving his crippled deputy, Stumpy, the town drunk Dude, once a deputy and a good shot when he is sober, and young hand, Colorado, who was working for Wheeler. Nathan Burdett has a couple dozen men at his disposal. Chance prepares, all the while romancing a pretty lady that goes by the name of Feathers. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, 1966, directed by Sergio Leone, starring Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, Eli Wallach. During the American Civil War, 3 men set off to find $200,000 in buried gold. Tuco and Blondie have known each other for some time, having used the reward on Tuco's head as a way of earning money. They come across a dying man, Bill Carson, who tells them of a treasure. He reveals the name of the cemetery and the name of the grave where the gold is buried. Now rivals, the 2 men have good reason to keep each other alive. A third man, Angel Eyes, learns of the gold from someone he's been hired to kill. All he knows is to find someone named Bill Carson. The 3 finally meet in a showdown that takes place during a major battle between Confederate and Union forces. Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, directed by Sergio Leone, starring Claudia Cardinale, Henry Fonda, Jason Robards, Charles Bronson, Gabrielle Fazzetti, Woody Strode, Jack Elam. Story of Mrs. Bain, who moves from New Orleans to Utah, on the very edge of the American West. She arrived to find her husband and family slaughtered, but by whom? The suspect, coffee lover Cheyenne, befriends her and offers to go after the real killer. Gang leader Frank, in her honor, accompanied by harmonica, also on a quest of revenge. Henry Fonda arrived in Italy with a pair of brown contact lenses and a moustache. When Leone saw them, he ordered them removed. Leone planned important close-up shots of Frank's entrance and wanted the audience to instantly recognize Fonda with his blue eyes. The Wild Bunch, 1969, directed by Sam Peckinpah, starring William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Edmund O'Brien, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson, Strother Martin, L.Q. Jones. An epic western, an aging outlaw gang on the Mexican-United States border trying to adapt to the changing world of 1913. Controversial because of its violence and portrayal of crude men trying to survive by any means. The train robbery was not in the script. All scenes were improvised on the spot the same day. Same thing with The Walk, for the bunch to help Angel. McCabe and Mrs. Miller, 1971, directed by Robert Altman, starring Warren Beatty, Julie Christie, Renee Auberjonois, William Devane. Set in the Old West during winter. Charismatic but dumb John McCain arrives in a Pacific Northwest town to set up a whorehouse. A shrewd professional madam, Mrs. Miller, arrives soon after construction begins, offering her experience to help McCabe run his business, while sharing in the profits. The business thrives. McCabe and Mrs. Miller become closer, despite conflicting intelligences and philosophies. Soon, however, the town attracts the attention of a major corporation who wants to buy out McCabe along with the rest. He refuses. The decision has major repercussions for him, Mrs. Miller, and the town. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate your likes and subscribers. Hit the notification button to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel and check out my Facebook page. The links are in the description. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.